Vegas Bad Boy of Podcasting is an entertainment-based wrestling program. The opinions shared are that of the host and their guests. Some celebrity voices are impersonated and usually not well. This program is not intended for kids and certain adults. Listeners' discretion is advised. You have been warned. Now let's get ready to podcast. Vegas BadBoyz of Podcasting presents an exclusive Father's Day edition from future stars of wrestling, Damian Drake and his father, Shawn.
Welcome to another edition of Vegas BadBoyz of Podcasting. I am your host, DJ Impact, and we're missing one bad boy, but we have three others. Sin City Steve, how are you?
Doing well. How you guys doing today?
Good. Simon Street, what's up?
What's up? Locked, loaded, and ready to go.
That's what I'm talking about. Matt Michaels, how are you?
Good, because we got Double D's joining us here.
Wow, Double D's.
Woo!
Yeah, baby.
Easy now, easy.
Yeah.
Well, let me get right to the introduction with that. Up and rising indie pro wrestling star that has worked in the West Coast Wrestling Connections and currently working in Future Stars of Wrestling. He's a native to the city we represent, Las Vegas. Vegas BadBoyz represents or welcomes Damian Drake along with his father, Shawn.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing
How you guys
good.
doing?
Doing good.
Awesome.
Excellent. So let's kind of look at this dynamic here. There's not a lot of chances you get to talk to an actual father and son where dad isn't, known for being a wrestler, but still has some wrestling experience. So let's start, Shawn. Let's start with, when did you start falling in love with wrestling, and how did it translate eventually to Damian before we get into a little bit more about the in-ring stuff?
In all beginning, I've been an athlete my whole life. I grew up in Southern California, played football my entire life, but my earliest memories that I have of sports involve professional wrestling. I can remember, my parents leaving us at home with babysitters and things like that, and early editions of Saturday Night's Main Event being on, things like that. A lot of my earliest memories are Crockett Cups,
Yeah.
early WWE. I'm talking things that some of this generation might not even remember, and thankfully now we have the the WWE Network to go back and take a look at everything.
Right.
So wrestling has always been a part of my life. I would have much rather, I even make jokes about it now at work. I played football my whole life, but I would rather, work Super Bowl Sunday so somebody can have the day off. But I flat out refuse to work WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a whole part of my life. I moved to Las Vegas in 1995, the day after I graduated high school. And, within I'd say the next few short years, Las Vegas kind of became a hotspot for wrestling. Not so much independently. There was some small federations going on, but it was the heyday of the Monday Night Wars, and you had Nitros and Halloween Havocs and everything that were here all the time, and then WWE would pop in and out, or WWF at that time. Damian was born. As I said, I moved here the day after I graduated high school at the age of 18, and Damian's mom was pregnant already, and it was time to work and things like that. So at that young age, I didn't know how to be a parent. I mean, I was learning on the ropes, and I worked in the early morning times from 4 a.m. in the morning to about 1 in the afternoon, and then his mom would go to work. And basically what we would do about then is we would sit around and watch wrestling. I remember him sitting in the little jumper, or the little baby carriage, or whatever else you want to call it. Little babies at that age can't really do anything, and would basically have to sit on the couch and relax after working all day while his mom was gone, and I'd be watching, flipping back and forth between, Nitros or Monday Night Raw, or watching tapes or recording. I was big into tape trading at that time.
Nice.
So it was always wrestling for me. I didn't watch regular television. I couldn't have told you what shows were on, back then, things like that. It was just, for me, I thought we had a ton of wrestling back then to watch. You could pretty much watch anything on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday. You had ECW popping in and out on different days, stuff like that. So, it just translated to him. Funny story. That kid could probably, before he could speak a sentence, would tell you who was coming out on the wrestling show by just hearing their music.
That's awesome.
As a baby, at that age, 9 months to, let's say 18 months or whatever. I mean, the kid would pop for Stone Cold's music. The kid would pop, he would hear a siren go off, and, a siren that people wouldn't know what it was, and he would yell, Big Papa Pump, he'd be excited for it. So I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, he was it was kind of forced in him at a young age.
So hey, Shawn, much like yourself, I actually moved from Louisiana in '95. I was 15 years old. And I do remember, being in Vegas, there really, there was a small pocket of people that really were into wrestling, and anytime you found someone that was into wrestling, you would just cling to them. And many years after too, I had a young daughter, and I did the same thing. Put her in the I don't know what it was called. I called it the swinger, but I probably wouldn't say that publicly. But I'd put her in this thing that would swing her automatically. And I remember watching Raw, and every time John Cena's music was come on, she'd always go, John Cena, and although she's not like your son and is, taking those steps toward, that great upbringing, even to this day, she knows more than most people in her class. My question I wanted to ask you is do you find yourself in like a small group of people that live here in Vegas that also in the same situation and have, their son or daughter that was raised on wrestling essentially and have taken those next couple of steps, or maybe even talk to about it?
It's a funny story how things wrap around for me within wrestling. Before Damian was ever involved in it or anything like that, I talked about me and his mother having, a job, and me working in the morning and her working at evening time. We actually worked for the same company.
Oh, awesome.
And it's a funny story that comes around because, there's a wrestler out here, used to be known as Kid Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Now he wrestles out in Vegas and works with Future Stars of Wrestling as, in the backstage capacity and different things like that, and wrestles still, but he's known as Gary Galaxy. I want to say Gary was probably 8-9 years old, and his mother used to babysit Damian when she was, she worked for the same company me and his mom did. So, from the time he was probably 9 months old until, probably close to the age of 3, she would babysit for us quite a bit. So me being a tape trader and having all many, different types of tapes and stuff, it was funny that, I still call him Kid Vegas, but, Gary Galaxy, he would borrow my tapes. We had lost contact with them, at one part of our life. And, it was a funny story that I ended up finding out later on when, I really started watching FSW. I think I came around with FSW around the first anniversary is when I kind of started going with him. But not too long after that, noticed that, God, that kid looks familiar, this Kid Vegas kid, and come to find out who he was. And, the story about how he got into wrestling was just, just funny. But I was like, that kid used to borrow my tapes, So, I think it's funny, I think it's a small select group, and it's a cool community that I've met at these shows and things like that, you don't get a lot of, not that I see, a lot of parents or family that come to these local shows and watch the kids. I want to say that the crowd is probably a lot of family and friends, but it's so hard. You get so many people that come to the shows and ask us, oh, please let me know the next time your son's wrestling or whatever like that, and you let them know, and you never see him at a show.
Right.
So I do think it is a small knit group, and a lot of these, you know, I'm going to call them kids, and that's just the old guy in me, you know, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to them, but, you know, a lot of Damian's colleagues, you know, these kids to me, you know, they, you know, there's probably very few of them that were really, you know, born and raised into it with a family that was supportive, so to speak, you know, that, that really, you know, watches them follow their dream or whatnot. You know, I listened to a recent, you know, podcast of you guys with Chris Bay, and he, you know, he had an amazing story about his mother. Yeah. And, you know, how he wrestled in front of her for the first time. And, you know, I'm sure she's extremely supportive and everything like that, like he said. And he didn't want to feel disrespectful to her, but he felt like, you know, there were certain times that maybe she wasn't as supportive as possible. Right. You know, to him. And, you know, he's, you know, truly happy that he's got that support and everything now. And that's, you know, it was an amazing story that he told.
So then that leads us to Damian here. What would you say, you know, given that framework of support, what would you say has been one of the biggest aspects of having your family's support? What does that mean to you, and how has it shaped your, you know, career and being able to accomplish what you've accomplished so far?
I think having my family's support behind me since I've started has been amazing. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure my dad or I told you guys before, like in person, you know, I've been doing a lot of this stuff off the back of my couch since I was like 3 years old, you know, and so just having that support with them from the start, like, it's been amazing, and it's really kind of helped me out in a way, because, you know, when I start something, you know, I'm not one to quit right away or give up on it. I'm going to do, you know, the best I can to fight through it. And, you know, sometimes you hear a lot of these stories with, you know, certain athletes, like, you know, they don't really have that support, you know, but once they finally achieve it, they get the support. But I think with me having the support of my family since, like, I've started it's really kind of helped me along the way since I've started, you know, especially with my dad, since, you know, he's known wrestling his whole life. And when I started, he kind of gave me a few pointers. He's like, look, this is what you're going to be getting into when you start. So it's going to be difficult, you know, but as long as you just kind of, like, you know, sink your teeth in and fight through it, like, you know, we'll support you all the way. So it's really shaped, it's having them with me behind my back has been really awesome with my career so far. And, you know, I don't know how many times I could thank them for that.
And
I got kind of a funny quick story too.
I think you're going what I was thinking. Go for it.
I'll get to that one in a sec. You know, I'll let you set me up for that one because I think I know where you're going.
Okay.
Because, you know, I had a story. I had an old coworker of mine. You know, I for a long time I ran the security team at Brooklyn Bowl here in town. And I was working a concert one time, and we used to run our lines, you know, outside of the venue when we had sold out shows and stuff. And, you know, with Facebook and social media is so amazing nowadays. You know, you can keep in contact with people that, you know, you might not have seen in 10 years, but you know, you run into them and it's like, you know, you never missed a beat. And I had an old coworker that had worked with me at a company for several years, and I probably hadn't seen her in, you know, probably 10 years or something. She happened to run into me outside of the venue one night when I was doing a concert, and she said, hey, you know, it's so amazing how supportive you are over your son's career and what you're allowing him to do. And I just kind of chuckled and I said, you know, what I'm allowing him to do. I said, you know, he's a grown man. You know, I think he was 18 at the time, you know, something like that. But I'm like, you know, he's a grown man. But you know, I'm a proud father of a kid that's, you know, never put me into you know, crazy situations. You know, I've waited for, you know, the police to knock on my door as a parent. You know, you hear stories, or, you know, those people my age have put their parents through stories where police are going to come to your door. Hey, your kid was out late, or, you know, different things like that. Like, this kid's never had any, you know, major problems like that. You know, if this is the dream and lifestyle he wants to run, I mean, awesome, go for it. I mean, it's just a bonus for me that it's something that I've enjoyed and been a part of, you know, my entire life. So it's, you know, it's just an amazing ride. But this is definitely not anything I'm allowing him to do. I've known about, the Vegas wrestling scene and for a very long time, since Damian was a child, but, it's something I never forced him into it. I never took him, straight to the school. I always told him, he knew where it was at. When or if he was ready for it, he could come ask and I could help him get there,
Yeah. So with that, I definitely was thinking of the one story, and in fact, let's let you tell the story, and then Damian, give me any recollections of this day and what happened after he's done telling this great story.
Yeah, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most. It's probably one of the most notorious ones in the family involving him. And I'm extremely long-winded, guys. So if you need to cut me off, just let me know. My wife's right laughing at me now, and she walks in behind me. So anyway, Damian's the oldest of 4 boys. Me and his mother have 2. I have, him. He's 23, and I have a 20-year-old son named Mark. Mark was probably about maybe 9 months old. Damian was, around 3.5, maybe close to 4. Like I said, I worked early mornings, so I would be home with the kids in the evening time and afternoon while their mom worked. And, back then we had, we didn't have DVDs and DVRs and things like that. We had TV VCR combos. And, at that age, if I sat on my recliner and put the baby down for a nap and had the monitor next to me where I could hear it, Damian could go get himself some juice out of the refrigerator. He could, put the tape in the VCR and automatically start. I mean, it was, amazing parenting if you want to think about it that way. So anyway, I remember kind of dozing off on the recliner, baby taking a sleep in a crib in his room, and Damian running around playing around. And I remember dozing off, and all of a sudden I woke up to this loud bang, and coming out of the sleep, I had no idea what was going on. And I remember looking out of, from my recliner, and I looked down the hallway, and I could see Damian running towards me from the hallway. And, the way I described it to Matt, he had straight blonde hair when he was a kid, the cowlick that would stick up in the back, that little alfalfa, whatever you want to call it. He kind of looked like Dennis the Menace. And running past me as fast as he could, wide-eyed, everything like this. But I also remember hearing the crash, and all of a sudden his baby brother Mark made a little noise, I heard this little noise, and the baby just cried, and I was like, what the heck, and I took off to run into the room. And as I ran into the room, Damian passed me. Well, the scene when I went in the room was basically one of the square laundry baskets that, kind of maybe a foot off the ground, maybe 2 feet wide, something like that. In the shape of a square, and it was upside down in the crib, and the baby's legs were sticking out of it because it's broken, and the baby was inside of it.
Oh my gosh!
I couldn't figure out what was going on. I grabbed the baby, I flipped it over, everything. Baby's not hurt. He's just fussing, things like that. But the laundry basket's just destroyed. I, get the baby, I'm holding him, I run back down to, the living room, and, Damian's running around the couch hiding, whatever he can do. And I'm like, what did you do? And all he could spit out to me was power bomb. So I was like, what? And, within the next couple minutes, as everything kind of settled down, as he told you, at an early age, he was flipping off the back of a couch on teddy bears, things like that. Just incredible. Where, most parents would be yelling at their kid, don't do it. I was probably cheering it on when it was going on, and his mom was telling him not to do it. But anyway, basically what I got out of him and how he described it to me was pretty much he had thrown, while his brother was napping, he had thrown the laundry basket into the crib, basically turned it over so it would, I guess, substitute as a table, laid his little brother on top of it, and then showed me that he had climbed onto the corner of the crib, basically kind of pointed his hands in the air like Macho Man Randy Savage would do, and basically jumped off with an elbow and put his brother through the laundry basket. So kind of an ECW-ish moment in my house. And thank God his mother was at work. I freaked out. I'm like, she's never going to let us watch wrestling again. What are you doing? You can't do this. The father set in me rather than the wrestling fan, after everything settled down and everything was cool and the baby was fine, we realized the only thing we really had was, a broken laundry basket that probably cost about $6.99, and now the wrestling fan set in me, and I was like, that was awesome. But it just numerous stories of things like that, going on, through our lives.
So is that pretty much an accurate telling, Damian?
Yeah, that's pretty much accurate as it can be. I mean, it's very like vivid in my head. Obviously, like you said, I was close to 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I definitely do remember putting my brother through a laundry basket, and I think probably that day too. Even though my brother was a baby, I think probably since that day, my brother has never really been a big wrestling fan.
Not at all. Not at all.
So the only time my brother ever really liked wrestling was when John Cena was doing the hustle, loyalty, and respect thing.
Yeah.
After that, my brother was just screw wrestling.
So. He liked John Cena, and he liked R-Truth's Little Jimmy. That was about it.
Little Jimmy.
Another quick little story with Damian, and probably shows my terrible parenthood and how much I'm really wrapped into this. Like I said, at an early age, he was really into this, and unfortunately at that age, and you guys, a couple of you guys may be a little bit younger than me, but it was at an age where these kids were going to school, telling people to suck it, flipping people out. It was just the things to do.
That's what I did
and
in high school.
Along the lines of him only being able to tell you what wrestlers were coming out by their music. Unfortunately, he learned "Suck It" and he learned the Steve Austin middle finger at a very young age.
Awesome.
My best friend in the world, Joey, had gotten married in California, and it was my first trip back to California after moving to Las Vegas. And again, I don't even. I want to say, Damian and his brother were probably the same age as the laundry basket story, but we were coming back to California the next day from California the next day after the wedding, and my buddy and his wife, were following behind us in a car, and they were coming to Vegas to honeymoon. We had spent a few days with them out there, and unfortunately on the 15 freeway, right as we hit town, someone cut me off on the freeway and almost caused us to have an accident.
Oh no!
And just nonchalantly, as the terrible parent that I was involved in wrestling, I just happened as we kind of sped up, the guy slowed down, and somehow we were passing him, and Damian was sitting in the car seat in the back, behind the driver's side. He was on the driver's side, and all I remember saying was, "Hey, Damian, Stone Cold," and at 3.5 years old, this kid flipped off the guy that cut me off.
That's awesome.
Within the next 10 minutes, we were in town and where we needed to go, and my buddy thought it was the most hilarious thing he'd ever seen because he had seen all of it and had seen the look on the guy's face when the 3-year-old, 4-year-old was flipping him off in the back of the car. And I didn't feel the need to road rage or anything like that. It just nonchalantly hit me like, hey, just Stone Cold, and there's the baby flipping the guy off. That was all that needed to be said at the time.
That sounds like that needs to be in a movie. Yeah. Seriously, that's. I'm actually proud. I'm proud.
Yeah, the 42-year-old with 2 other little kids now in my family. It probably wasn't the best parenting decision, but it's what happens.
Hey, Shawn, you know what they say? There is no manual that comes with parenthood. We just kind of make it up as we go.
Exactly. And with Damian and his brother, me having him at such a young age, that's what I felt like. I grew up and learned how to parent probably through the mistakes I made.
So, Damian, how then, when you finally got to the point, when did you finally say to your dad, "Hey, let's make our way down to the training facility. I want to give this a crack"?
Well, it's actually kind of funny how it happened. My dad probably might say it a little differently how it started, but he's very close friends with Funny Bone.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think it was a Friday or it was a Friday or a Saturday or something. I was in my room. I think I was watching a movie or just playing Xbox or something. And my dad said, "Hey, do you know my friend Funny Bone?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he goes "Well, he's doing kind of this show with Sin Bodhi. It's kind of like an adult-oriented show, and they have a spot, and he wanted to know if you'd be cool to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was like, awesome. Funny Bone told you to find your most douchiest outfit and wear it tomorrow. And I was like, all right.
Douchiest.
I was like the most douchiest outfit. Okay. So I'm going through my closet. This is like the night before the show. I'm going through my closet and I just literally, and this was like when I was in like my skater phase and stuff. So this was like when the skinny jeans and all this stuff was like really in. So I'm going through my closet. I had like a black pair of skinny jeans. I put those on. I found those. And for some reason in my head, like douchebags wore purple. So, I don't know, like I don't know why, but I was like, all right, cool. I had like a purple DC shirt, and then I had like purple and black Vans. I was like, perfect. And I had like a famous gray hat that I got from a birthday, and I had like a couple of like bracelet, like the I Love Booby bracelets, and I had like a necklace, and I had sunglasses. And I think I had like a sleeveless black hoodie, and I was like, all right, cool. This is douchey enough. So the day of the show happens, and it was for Freak Show Wrestling, and my dad drops me off. I see Funny Bone there, and I'm wearing the outfit, and he goes like, "That's your douchiest outfit," and I was like, "Yeah, why? Is it bad?" He's like, "Nah, it's perfect." I was like, all right, and I meet Sin, and I meet Sin, and this is the first time I met him, and Sin was just like. This was like, oh, so this is my Justin Bieber? I was like, Justin Bieber, what? He's like, yeah, you're going to be Justin Bieber. You're managing Bieber security. I was like, man. And of course, and like, I couldn't get like, when I was in high school, like I had what was called the Bieber haircut, which was like the skater, like it was just to this parted to the side, very like,
it was poofy, parted to the side, and it was the worst hair anybody could ever have. But anyway,
I was just like, man, I couldn't get away from it in high school, and it's the first character I do in wrestling. Awesome. And that was my first character, was Justin Bieber as a manager, and Chavo Guerrero was there too, and he had a match I think it was just a regular match he had with Sin or something. But I guess him and my dad through a couple times were like contacting each other back and forth through Twitter. Yeah. He was like, hey, Chava's gonna be there. If you see him, just introduce yourself, let him know, you're my son. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I met him, and he was actually really cool. I hung out with him, and he was like, hey, I'm doing a seminar at FSW tomorrow. You should come by. I was like, oh yeah, cool. So I told my dad that. We went to FSW, and that was the first time I really was like doing in-ring stuff. And within like that following Monday, like I signed up for FSW, and here I am now, and that's how it all started.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Hey, Damian, getting back to having to be part of Bieber security, if I heard correctly, it's not the worst first gimmick you had to be. I mean, it could be worse. You could be, part of an all-male cheer squad as the first time people know you. I don't know of anybody who's ever had that gimmick.
Looking back on that, I can say it's not as bad. But if you were kind of growing up in like my generation, and like Justin Bieber was like the thing to be made fun of about, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is bad.
So I would take male cheerleader over Justin Bieber.
Yeah, at the time it happened, Funny Bone was working with me as well. We had worked in a few companies together, doing security things like that. Me being a security manager and stuff, I had hired him. And if I remember correctly, it was Bieber's bodyguards, and the two bodyguards were Willie Mack and Clutch, if I believe. So he was in good company.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Willie Mack and Clutch.
I mean, if no one has ever seen Sin's Freak Show Wrestling, it's an absolute must see with the characters and things like that have happened.
Yeah, it's something else. And that's the cool thing too, is transitioning into Sin having the snake pit and everything, and training you guys over at FSW. one of the things that I noticed, Damian, is your work ethic, especially in class.
Yeah.
What is it, do you think, that allows you to watch other students, other people who are, practicing, getting better, and be able to process, to see the little things that, give good notes, in the end to help them develop? What is it that, is it instinctual? Is it just from your hard work? What is it that tells your brain, hey, this person is doing this just a little. If we spiced it up this way, or if we did it that way, it would help them.
See, a lot of that just comes from the trainers that I had. Like, I had Sin was one of my trainers. Like, Sin was my very first trainer. Like, day one, I remember very vividly. Like, I went in. He was like, "This is your first day." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you picked a hell of a first day," And so like, he was one of my very first trainers. But I was also trained, by D'Lo Brown, Disco Inferno, and then of course like guys like Cutthroat Cody, Remy Marcel, Jack Manley, all those guys, and I've always heard from all those guys, like, I've heard D'Lo says this all the time, like, pro wrestling is like Baskin and Robbins. There's like 32, 31 flavors, or however many, so you're gonna get different things from each, trainer you have, and just kind of pick up what you pick up on, what feels comfortable, And when I was training, and like when I was with my tag partner Spider, we were the youngest guys, training with all these guys, and so we were always the youngest guys, just everything we could. And now ever since I came back from doing the tour with OWE in China, like, everyone's kind of like, I don't want to say they disappeared, but they all got something going on in their careers, or like maybe they're just taking some time off and doing doing stuff in their personal life, so like,
Right.
really, like, most of the time I go in there, I'm helping Sin with teaching, or I'm taking over D'Lo's class, and I just want to be able to pass on from what I've learned from them to the next generation that is coming in wrestling,
Yeah.
like, and for me, like, I'm really big on storytelling, and I love telling stories.
Yep.
So, and this past year, I've really come to, kind of accept that, it really is the smaller things that really do matter.
Yeah.
So I really want to, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to just have the younger generation, just be really spot monkeys. I mean, do what you want to do in wrestling, but if you can also make those little moments even mean just as much as the big high spots, it's gonna go just a long way. So that's why I always, at least when I help teach, I want to at least just have them, at least one little moment mean something that'll make their big moment even mean just as more.
Definitely, man. You mentioned it in passing just now. Your time over in China with OWE. I did see that you were involved in an 8-man tag over there. Could you do me a favor and just kind of tell me a little bit about your time there, or maybe a cool story from that?
The time over there, it was pretty. That was my first time out of the country.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, when I was telling people that, I was going to China for 2 months and it was my first time out of the country, they were just like, "Oh wow, what a hell of a country to pick for your first time." And I was like,
Exactly.
I was like, I didn't pick it. It picked me. But, but training over there with guys from Dragon Gate like Lindemann, Seema, and T-Hawk, they were really awesome. And just experiencing the culture out there was such different from how it is out here, And I've always loved like Chinese martial arts films and all that stuff. So it was kind of cool to go out there and just know like these kids love Jackie Chan movies as much as I love Jackie Chan movies. But it and kind of learning Chinese a little bit out there, and teaching them to learn, English a little bit, which I was surprised that a lot of them knew English, but it was like very broken English. But just the fact that they knew it, it was really surprising. And the guys out there, they're from like 18, like close to, I believe, 30 it was. So they're all they're all really young people, guys who are around like me and Spider's age. And we were basically the Americans out there. We were basically like just big older brothers to them, because they got the kids out there. They're they're away from their families, and all they really have is each other. So when we came in and we were teaching them, it was a really cool experience, and it was a very touching moment for me. It's something I'll never forget, and I wish I can go back, hopefully in the future. So
awesome. Well, and speaking of overseas and training and all that, New Japan just had the training camp in Long Beach, California, just recently. You went down there. What was that experience like for you? And I know that you have aspirations, of hopefully getting a chance to be part of New Japan.
Yeah.
Was it everything that you thought it was going to be cracked up to be? Was it tough? Was it, did you take tidbits of this and that? How was that whole experience?
That whole experience, it was actually really cool. See, when I went in, I would hearing the stories about, how they train at the New Japan dojos out in Japan, and, how just the training is in general. I was expecting it to be kind of like, I don't necessarily want to say like military, where it's just like, where it's like very forward, it's serious. I was expecting it to be kind of just, just a little bit like you got to mind your P's and Q's, take it seriously. But the first day I saw Shibata, and the moment I saw him like laughing and smiling and having a good time while teaching, I was kind of like a little bit of a stress reliever. I was just like, wow, this like, it's time. It's like having fun over here, So it was cool. The training definitely kicked my ass more than up in China. I would say, because what we did those 4 days is we kind of got a taste of like what their conditioning is and stuff. And the in-ring time we really did get. We were just learning like lockups and headlocks, but it was very more like. With Japan, what I've noticed, it's very more like intense, and it's in the moment. Like you have your opponent in this headlock, and you want to make sure you have them in the headlock. If they're going to try to get out, you want to fight them getting out.
Right.
And with the American style, like it's entertainment and all that stuff. But you want to present like, I got this headlock, but with with the Japanese, it's more like, no, it's a fight. Let's make it look like a fight, and that's what I really loved, and that's what I love about New Japan as well. Like it just looks like they're killing each other,
Yeah.
So, and that's what I love about New Japan. I love the strong style. Like it just looks intense and stuff, and that's what that's the style I've recently started to love, and I would really, hopefully, like I said, in the future, I'd love to be a part of New Japan and just, wrestle with those guys. So the experience was awesome, and from what I can tell you guys is, they're going to keep me updated on the next camp, and they want me to come back, which is cool.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Damian, I've had a great opportunity to see a couple of your matches, and also you in the capacity of a class at FSW. And first of all, I got to say I'm thoroughly impressed, super impressed, even before
Thank you.
This
Thank
interview.
you very much.
Just the way you carry yourself, you're very much a leader, you're very much an instructor. And I saw that first and foremost. As far as your matches, man, top notch, super clean.
Thank you.
And
I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. Strong style, it definitely that you said you really admire strong style, and it's something that you would definitely like for the future. I see that in your matches, that type of style. And I think the one time I saw you in one of your matches, I thoroughly enjoyed you being kind of a heel capacity. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I was like, man, he is really like, and it's funny because you know your name's Damian Drake, and you have this huge tattoo on the back. I'm assuming it's Nightwing, right? from
You're
DC Comics.
correct. You're
Yeah,
correct.
it's
Yes.
funny because I could look at that, and the only thing that's missing is a mask on your face. Like you could sew past it like a Nightwing. I'm being real honest with you, so that caught
No,
my eye.
I appreciate it, man. I've been told that before, and that's actually funny because you say that because I actually used to wear a mask.
Oh,
when
did
I
you?
first started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll kind of go sidebar a little bit here. So when I started getting more into the Damian Drake character, from the bat, I knew I wanted to do like a superhero type thing, you know. And you got anybody that's a big Batman fan, loves Robin. Anybody can argue with me this, hands down. I don't care if you hate me after I say this, but I thoroughly say Dick Grayson, the first Robin, is the hands down the best Robin ever.
He is.
Oh, definitely.
No, 100%. None against Todd, but
because-
yes, 100%.
Yeah. He was the first one to go on his own. He was really the only one to punch Batman in the face, become his own superhero, and he's really the only one that's ever taken up the mantle besides Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
So I will hands down say he's my all-time favorite. And so I've always wanted to kind of do the character based off of Robin a little bit. So like long story short, like I started wearing the mask, and you know, when I was part of the Midnight Marvels, and I was basically like, it started out as like I was a kid pretending to be a superhero, kind of like Kick-Ass a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it evolved to where I was like, no, we are like, we're kids, but we are superheroes. Like, this is what we do. Like, we go out in the middle of the night patrolling, like taking down bad guys. And then after Spider and I kind of going our separate ways, like I wanted to really start evolving it more into like, you know, I really am like, it's no joke. I am a superhero. Like I want to be taken seriously. And I've always been infatuated with like the dark superheroes, like, you know, Batman, the Crow, you know, so I really wanted to kind of be more of like a darker persona. And honestly, a little story behind the mask. Like growing up, I was a very shy kid, and I mean, I still am a little bit now. But I mean, I've come out of my shell a lot with pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So when I was wearing the mask, like, you know, I was really wearing that, and that kind of was helping me able to kind of be this totally different person who I am on the inside that I couldn't really get out without the mask. And then I hit a point after I came back from China, like, you know, I was like, you know, I think I want to take the mask off. Like, I think it's time to be, you know, time to grow up a little bit. And ever since I've taken the mask off, like, what you see, you know, in the ring, and it's really, it's me, it's who I am, you know.
Yeah, you
of course, there's still a little bit of that vigilante stuff that I have in there,
right?
But, you know, it's really me in the ring.
You've evolved the character. You've done something that, you know, at your age, you know, it's remarkable that you're doing that, because it takes people, you know, sometimes, you know, time, 10 years, 15 years to figure that out, where you can take that and evolve that. That's amazing. Also, with that and getting into family a little bit here, you do have a little bit of a significance of your entrance, and that ties to your grandma.
Yes.
What is the story?
The story behind that is my grandmother and I, her name was Kathleen. Everybody called her Grandma Cat. We were very close when growing up and stuff, and she wasn't really a big fan of, you know, pro wrestling and stuff. Like when my dad was actually doing it for, like, I think it was like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
He did it for 2 years, and when he started doing matches, like, she was just like, no, I'm not gonna go to it. I'm not gonna go to your show.
My mother never came to any one of my shows, but never missed one of Damian's shows.
Yeah. So when I started doing it, she was literally like at almost every single show, and whenever I went out of town, she was like the first one to message me or call me and stuff. You know, and so it was really cool. And even when she was like really sick, like she would literally get out of bed to go see my show if I was having a show that weekend. So that was Yeah. And
The entire time that, before my mother passed away, that, Damian was involved in this. Again, my mother held a grudge against Funny Bone for 15 years because
Wow.
Funny Bone, sorry, I've got a 3-year-old running around my house kidding me. Funny Bone was the first person I ever had a match with, and I came home, with footprints and things across my body that Funny Bone leaves on people, to where, my mother held a grudge for years. She came to wrestling shows with Funny Bone's shirt because he gave her one. If you don't know Funny Bone's an asshole.
Yeah.
He gave my mother a T-shirt just out of spite.
Yeah.
So my mother wore this shirt and actually put red tape, almost like a Ghostbusters symbol, across it, and would wear it to the shows.
Awesome.
But yeah, she never came to any one of my shows. But by the time Damian got into it, her health issues had kicked in and things like that, to where my mother was known around FSW as the crazy old lady in the corner that she would stand up with a walker and yell at the bonus boys and anyone else who was beating on him. But again, like you said, she couldn't stand it when I was doing it. But that shows how there's a difference between mother and father, or a mother, father, and a son, and a grandparent. And I don't know that yet because I don't have any grandkids. But I guess every grandparent will tell you that it's a different type of love. And us knowing our grandparents or seeing any of us that have children, you see your parents treat them way differently than they treated you. When
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
My parents treat my kids way better than they should have treated me.
Yeah. So, she was a huge, it was for her in her last few years of her life to, see him sprout, kind of in this business and start this out. It was, like just beaming, and I don't even know the words, proudness and, things like that, like so happy for him. So
That's amazing. And what we're going to do really quick here, I texted both of you guys a couple questions so that you could answer from each other's perspective. So I'm going to run down this list. I'm going to ask you guys to just give your answers and kind of see how you guys know each other. Little father-son bonding for Father's Day weekend here. So, Damian, first question is, who is your dad's all-time favorite wrestler?
He might have.
Tell me what you
different
said.
answer.
Tell me what you said.
What I said. Now I say this because when I was growing up and watching, and we were watching together, he always talked about Triple H. So I said Triple H was his favorite because that was really the only one that I would ever hear him talk about, and he would always in my eyes get excited to see have a match. So
Shawn,
I said Triple H.
Shawn, what's your answer?
the answer that I gave you was Sting.
Okay.
But now that as he said that, I can understand exactly why. So,
Okay.
and just a quick insight of that. I mean, again, my wrestling expands over several more generations
Right.
of being a fan than his does.
Right.
And I could see that with him growing up, him saying that because I'll tell people to even this day. I mean, and there's people that love him and there's people that hate him, but I almost, and man, this might cause a huge argument, but I almost consider, Triple H to be somewhat the Ric Flair of this certain generation.
Sure.
He's a guy that has worked with everyone. The old adage of, he could wrestle with a broomstick and make it look good, so I could see why Damian would say that.
Some of the matches he has been almost with broomsticks,
Yeah,
and he's
might
made
as
them
well
look
have
good.
been,
All right. So on the
Absolutely.
on the flip side, Shawn, who did you say that Damian's all-time favorite wrestler was?
I said Jeff Hardy.
Okay. Now, Damian, I know that Jeff Hardy is one of your favorites. So is AJ Styles, correct?
Yes. That is correct.
But your answer to who your all-time favorite wrestler is
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
My all-time favorite is actually Sting as well.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I love those. I love those three for specific reasons. You
Right.
know, Sting for me. I mean, I could be. My dad might have a different story for this, but I first saw Sting when he started doing the Crow. From what I remember, when he started doing the Crow Sting.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, you know, earlier, I love the darker characters. I love the darker superheroes. So seeing him do that whole entire, like, and of course when I got older, I kind of rewatched everything, but seeing him doing, you know, just like, he had a blank expression, he didn't talk, but you can tell what he was feeling in that moment. That to me, I was like, that dude's awesome. Like, that was, for me, that was the guy I was like, I want to be. Jeff Hardy, for me, is for, like, all the Daredevil aspects, you know, like, he would put his body through, like, anything, and to, you know, just, he'll do anything just to win, or, like, just to make anybody know, like, hey, you know, I'm Jeff Hardy, I'm gonna do something crazy today. And that's what I love. And, you know, for AJ Styles, it's like, every match I've seen AJ have, like, I've literally watched AJ's career, like, when he started in TNA, when TNA was just getting started, all the way up to now, and, like, every single match I've seen AJ do, like, it's been amazing. Like, I've never been disappointed with AJ's matches. And so, to me, he's one of those who I want to be liked, where I can go to a match with anyone and just put on an awesome match.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and my reasonings for Sting are complete opposite of Damian's. You know, my Sting growing up was Surfer Sting, colorful Sting.
Yep.
You know, the Sting and Ric Flair matches, the Sting and Ric Flair, you know, Horseman, you know, feuds, you know, things like that. So, you know, going into Crow at first, you know, it kind of turned me off on Sting. It was confusing to me. You know, I didn't know what was going on, and then, you know, looking back at everything now and stuff like that is just such an amazing, change of character, and how even to this day, you know, he could go to a convention. You know, he was at StarCast, you know, last week, you know, whatever it was out here, and, you know, people are just lined up to see him. You know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna rattle off some quick ones here. Damian, your dad's favorite food?
I said steak and lobster.
Shawn, what was your answer?
Steak. Yeah, I had steak on there, so yeah, steak and lobster.
Perfect. And what was Damian's favorite food, Shawn?
Man, you know, it's probably changed so much since he's moved out from my house. But, you know, you could, in my eyes, I thought hamburgers, cheeseburgers, you could put a burger in front of him and he'd be super happy.
Damian, what's your answer?
I said pizza.
Pizza.
This one, you guys did pretty good on this one, though. Shawn, what's your favorite music?
I put the answer I had for you. I had Eminem or Offspring.
Yep.
Was my two favorite artists.
Damian got that one absolutely with Eminem. And Damian, what's your favorite?
My favorite was Linkin Park.
Awesome. Your dad got that one. So
nice.
you guys are definitely on the same track on that one. Now, Damian, your favorite movie?
It's a little difficult, but I mean, I love the 80s and stuff, but my hands down favorite all-time movie is Star Wars.
Perfect.
Awesome.
But if it's not Star Wars, it's Breakfast Club.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. And
Yeah.
Shawn, you got that one,
I had
right?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Star Wars for the answer, but yeah, I used to tell people I had the only kid that was born in the late 90s that was totally everything about the 80s when it came to music and movies and everything like that. Yeah.
Good taste.
Which is interesting because Damian, what did you say your dad's favorite film was?
I said his was Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's an awesome movie.
Which is a great answer, and that whole 80s thing just tied in.
Yeah.
But Shawn, what did you say yours was?
I actually said Goodfellas. I'm
Okay.
huge
Wow,
into that
okay.
genre of television or movies, but I can see why he'd say Fast Times. Yeah, that's up there.
I just found it fascinating that you gave a very, very Vegas answer. It's like Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Why not?
Yeah, hell yeah. And finally, you guys were kind of on the same pages here, but favorite memories of a Damian Drake match. Shawn, what did you say you'd think was what was Damian's favorite memory?
Let's see. I thought his favorite memory. I've had quite a few that popped in my head, but I thought one of the most recent ones would have been his favorite. Was his debut in AAA. Just the size of the crowd and the capacity of what he was involved in and wrestling in. And the only reason why I said that is, that's probably one of the first times that while I was still Facebook living this and recording it so that people could see it, because not a lot of people know where to find AAA.
Right.
And also so he could see it later when he came home, because it's not something you could really DVR or whatnot, that I've been able to find, because I was watching on their Twitch channel. While I was still recording this, my phone rang and it was him. And it was a cool moment. He kind of broke down in tears. I broke down in tears, and it was just the pure size of the crowd and the event that he was in front of, and what a huge moment it was.
Awesome. And I love that answer. And I think, Damian, you can't disagree that was, not a favorite memory of yours. But I like that you said this as your answer. And your dad said this would be your answer for your favorite match too, and that was the cage weapons match.
Yeah. Like the obvious, like AAA is like the AAA one was definitely up there, because that was the first time I've wrestled AAA, and it definitely was the biggest crowd I've ever wrestled in front of, and it was a cool moment, and it's something I'll never forget. But I said the weapons cage match was his, because the story we did behind that, there was so much emotion behind it, and everything was just building up to the cage match, and it was against one of a very good friend of mine that we had and probably still have one of the greatest rivalries in FSW.
Right.
That expanded to even when I won the title.
And that's Owen. And that's Owen Travers.
Yes, Owen Travers. Yeah. And just being having the cage match, and just having the crowd, this was the first time I ever had a match where I had the crowd, excuse me for saying this, but I had the crowd by the balls. Everything we were doing in the match, the crowd was just reacting to it nonstop. And then finally, when the match was over, I got the 1, 2, 3, and that was where I showed, and to me in that moment, everybody knew I could do this on my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I don't necessarily need a tag partner, but I can do this with someone or on my own, So that was
I think that match alone, and the reason why I said that as well is, it was such emotion that was involved in that whole storyline. And when Damian talked earlier about telling a story, I've had people compliment him to me through Facebook or different things like that about the storytelling that's in the matches. And that one involved me at a show where Owen and I had gotten into it at a show, different things like this. This is the match where for those of you that didn't know that he wore a mask, this is the match where the mask was taken off. And it was in the middle. It was it was almost like a coming out moment for him, and I think it's a moment there, like he said, him and Spider had a long good run as a tag team, and that door's never been closed. They've had a small issue, but that door is always open to going back to something like that. But I think this is the real kind of moment where he stepped out, and a proud moment for me, where I think people looked at him differently as as a solo wrestler, and as someone that could do this on his own, and do what needs to be done for a company and the crowd.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Awesome.
definitely. All right, man. So Damian, just really quick, we've got a little thing that we like to do here. My name's Sin City Steve. The 7 deadly sins are a thing, so we like to tie it in, and we do what's called 70 deadly seconds. So it's just going to be a quick word association. I've got a list of names or promotions, things of that nature, and just when I say the name, just fire off with the very first thing that comes into your head. So, are you ready?
All right. Yep,
Awesome,
you got
man.
it.
All right. So, Spider Warrior,
Brother.
BVW,
Something special.
D'Lo Brown,
Phenomenal teacher.
WCWC,
Amazing product.
awesome. Mikey O'Shea,
Best big brother I've always wanted.
the Bonus Boys,
I can go to them for anything.
Funny Bone,
Asshole.
Future Stars of Wrestling,
So somewhere he's smiling on that one.
Yeah.
FSW,
Always my home.
Hammerstone,
Powerful.
Chris Bay,
Man, I'm lost for words on this one. Amazing talent.
Awesome.
Amazing talent.
and last but not least, Shibata.
I would love to learn more from him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
So the next segment that we have is a segment that I guess has been shifted toward the end. It seems like that always happens. So pretty much, because we have both father and son on the phone, I'm going to do something just slightly different. So as you know, because you listen to the podcast, we thank you very much. This is the segment where you get an opportunity to name a situation that has happened anywhere. Inside the ring, outside the ring, it could be anywhere. It could be the bathroom. It could be at the pizza parlor. It could be in the drive-thru. It could be anywhere you want. But it is entitled an oh shit moment. So because I have both of you gentlemen here on the phone, I'm going to go ahead and let the elder go first. And then, Damian, you can go next with a quick oh shit moment. Shawn, you're first.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it back to my our good friend Funny Bone. We have a long history, and friendships, wrestling, all kinds of stuff, family. That dude's a big part of my family. Again, we work together, and we used to work in a place downtown, old school bar called Insert Coins. And
I remember Insert Coins.
I ran it. I ran that one as security. I came in about a year after they were involved. Hired Bone. He was looking for a job. I needed somebody. He got mad because he had to send me a resume and I'd know his real name. But anyway, we were working one night, and I had him working the front door and checking IDs and stuff like that on people coming in. And there was a little guy out there, a little drunk, and just running his mouth, and Bone wouldn't let him in because he was drunk and different things like this. And Bone was being very patient. I had to teach Bone at one time, you're on surveillance, Bone, so you can't kind of put your arms out and tell people to come to you. You have cameras on you. You have to let them make the first move. Just smile. You could say anything you want to say to them as long as you're smiling, because camera, the audio doesn't pick up on a camera. Just smile. Say whatever you want to say to them. But anyway, there was this little guy out there just jarring at him and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he got in Bone's face and touched Bone, and within probably a half of a second, we saw this little guy go about 8 feet in the air and hit the floor I can't even say it was a power bomb. Like, I don't even know what kind of move it was. The supervisor and company guy in me went, oh shit. But when all was said and done, and Metro came, got the kid out of there, everything that happened, was all good and everything like that. it was another oh shit moment for me in the aspect of I was like, we had to rewind the video and look at video to find out what even happened to this kid. Like, how did he end up on the ground so fast? And you know, his hat went 5 feet one way, his shoes went the other way. Like it was just insane. But a lot of good fun times with that guy. But it's also been a lot of oh shit moments with him.
Awesome story. Awesome story. Damian, your turn.
Probably one of my oh shit moments is I was actually teaching a class at FSW, and we just got done with warm up. So all the advanced kids that could do matches. I was like, all right, let's do like 5-minute matches. I picked the babies and the heels. I told them what the finish was, and you know, we'll go from there. And a few of the matches go by. There's about 6 of them that were going on. So it gets to the 4th match. Everything's going good. I'm noticing little things that they could work on. And at one moment, I looked away to tell somebody something, and I looked back, and I saw one of the students get back body dropped out of the ring by the entranceway.
Oh my god!
And I immediately was like, "Holy shit!" Like I jumped. I went, "Stop! Stop!" I ran to the other side. They had the crash pad on the other side, and I had no idea it was there.
Oh, damn.
So he gets back body dropped onto the crash pad, and I go over, and he's just like, "Why'd you stop the match?" And I was like,
I didn't know.
I thought you killed yourself. This is practice." And from that day on, like the rest of the day, I was like, I don't want to see any other more practice matches. That's the match of the day. Goodbye. I'm going home.
Damn. Well,
I get like with my little brothers and my little sister on my mom's side, like I get really like big brother when like I see something is bad's about to happen. So when I saw one of my students just get flown out of the ring, I immediately went into big brother mode and just like was like, "Oh my god, I hope he didn't die. He's dead." And just seeing him laying on the crash pad, like, "Hey, I'm fine. Like, why'd you stop?" I was like, "Oh, you bastards." So that was my oh shit moment as a teacher.
Wow, definitely an oh shit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for checking out that video. If you liked what we did there, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new here, slap that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you can be a part of the notification squad. Follow us on social media at Vegas BadBoyz with a Z on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And until next time, we will see you in the next video.